Good evening and welcome. This is Mountain Memories episode 8. I'm Hailey Coxon and this is the Spirit of Motorsport TV. Good evening to every single one of you that have joined us once again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your patience. We did have some difficulties last night, but not tonight. We're all raring to go and everyone is here. So John Kashirski says, hello from America. Rearranged my day to be here. Enjoy all. Thank you, John. We're honored. Brian Spooner says, good evening all from the West Midlands. Lorraine Nelm says, good evening. Bev Smith, hi everybody. BH says, second time lucky, yes. Fingers crossed. Paul Swift saying good evening and shared. Fantastic. Yes, so remember, you can tag your friends in if they've forgotten about the show or they were not aware of it. Please do let them know, send them the link or tag them in and they can join us. And tell us where you're joining us from. Where are you in the world? Where are you in the country? We'd love to hear from you. And any questions that you have for myself, for the guests, and just enjoying the banter. We've got some fantastic pictures to share. And our special guest joining Roy and Barry this evening is the great Mike Kane. And he has some pretty special stories to share with his photo album that he's given us exclusive access to. So we've got more comments here. Paul Swift saying good evening and shared here. Roger Mark Barnes says good evening. Tulsa Robinson says good evening all. Great, brilliant. So many tuning in so quickly. I love it. So I'm excited to get going. Remember, keep chatting away, keep interacting, letting us know where you're joining us from. And now, without further ado, I'm going to welcome the great Mr. Roy Moore and Barry Wood back into the studio. Good evening, boys.
Good evening, Hailey.
Good evening, Hailey. The Proclaimers are back.
After a bit of a mishap yesterday. Just before we start, Hailey, I'd just like to, in my kind of position as being part of the Manx Radio commentary team, the phone rang last night and it was Tim Glover, and he was passing on the sad news that Tim O'Hanlon had passed away very quickly during the afternoon. And it's been absolutely overwhelming, the input there's been. We did put a little tribute on. There he is in his usual position. I never had the opportunity to work with Tim. Pat, his brother, is the person that I got involved in from 1984 onwards. But he was so well known, and it's been shown in all the tributes that have been put on. And there was a lovely one from a person we're hoping to get onto this program at one time, a marshal from Moran called George Corkle. And he was involved with Moran Football Club. And I think he summed Tim up. You never know how popular you've been until a situation like this happens. And the little tribute we put on has had 265 quotes already, like people going, and some beautiful comments as well. And I think it was summed up by George when he said, no matter when you met Tim, he was always the same. He just never varied in his life. And I think that's what endeared him to so many people who are now coming forward to pay tribute to him. And Tommy Robb worked with him at Ballacrane when Tommy was down there doing the thing, and took time out to come on and say how grateful he was and how he enjoyed it. And doing the commentary, a little bit nervous, he said, but he made it all better by the fact that in those days, the timekeepers were the timekeepers. If they said Dennis Island is 6 seconds ahead of whoever might have been in Mick Grant, well, that was taken as gospel. There was none of this transponders and everything went, by what the scoreboard said or the computer said. This was the good old days of handheld timing on a point. It would probably be, and it explained to me by Pat, he used to take at Ramsey Hairpin the 30-mile-an-hour sign, something like to say the lamppost in the background of you. And that was his timing point on the road. And then when the riders completed their laps and you looked at the times, there was no difference. They were absolutely spot on. So a sad occasion. Part of our team is gone. It's a part of inevitability, really, with Maurice Maudsley and Jeff Cannell and Peter Neal and Ian Cannell all left us. And certainly, a tribute to Tim O'Hanlon. Great fella. And Barry, you remember him up around Pit Lane, didn't you?
L school person doing that job. I didn't really know Tim very much from competing myself, but he did come to away racing with us a couple of times. And there was one year George said there's a couple of boys from Crosby are coming. I said, oh, happy days, you know, and Tim was one of them. But like you say, Roy, he was a quiet enough man and a modest man, and his was a voice. You'd hear the voice for years and years and years, but not many people knew what he looked like.
Yeah, it's a fact.
And you know, we went to the pub in Skerries on the first night, and most of us were familiar faces to the locals. And a couple of boys said, "Who are them boys?" I never don't know them before. I said, "Oh, it's Tim O'Hanlon," and this incredulous look on their face, you know, the Tim O'Hanlon. I said, the same man. And he was quite embarrassed that people were asking him, was it him, even Tim, you know? But it was just a familiar voice with the TT and the Manx, but they'd never seen him in the flesh. And not many people really did. You know, you wouldn't see him. You might get a quick flash of him on a DVD or something like that, but he was never the sort to be interviewed. He did his job. He did a fantastic job. And that was him back in the background, wasn't it, Roy?
Certainly was, yeah. And Pat, his brother, is off of the same ilk. There's a lovely story about Pat O'Hanlon. He's never been heard, or he has been heard only but once on the radio. And they were doing commentary from Ballacrane, and it was a fella called Jack Craig-ny, and he lost his voice, or he went over to the pub, I think was the true story, and forgot to come back. And Peter Neal was screaming at Ballacrane to give them some indication as to what was happening. So Pat went on the radio and give not any description of the races, but just in a true Manx voice, and the leaders here at Ballacrane, and he got that much stick for it in the Crosby afterwards, or wherever they went. I think it was the Manx Arms, they had the Manx radio gathering, and they just give him so much stick. He said, that's it, never again. You'll never hear me. I'm a Harpo Marx from now on. You'll never ever hear me on the radio doing anything, no matter how much, you know, how hard you ask. But they were off the same brothers, and they just carried on. And I think it was longer than 45 years, because I think Manx Radio first fired up about 64, and the O'Hanlon boys were part of the commentary team then, a very, very vital part of the commentary team. And sadly, no longer one of them is with us. And our thoughts go out to everybody connected with the O'Hanlon family at this very, very sad time.
We've had some lovely comments. I'll just share them. We have BH from YouTube says, I think everyone has missed hearing Tim's and all your voices on Manx Radio over the last year or so. I agree. And Simon Heath says, well said, Roy. Thoughts go out to all of Tim's family and friends. Rest in peace, Tim. And John Kashirski says, respect, Roy. Very well said. And thanks for the background story. Thoughts to Tim's family and friends. Yeah, great tribute from Phil Looney. Also says a lovely tribute to Tim O'Hanlon. It had to be done. So thank you, boys. That was extremely important. Appreciated as well. Okay, so Mr. Mike Kane then. We have him in the studio. We have him raring to go. Yeah. So fantastic. Here he is. Welcome, Mike.
Evening all.
Mike?
Has it worked?
Oh, no.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad, yes, sir. Sorry.
We're back in the room.
I apologise for bringing out the red flag last night when an electrical problem caused an oil spill over the mountain. And I was slightly overdue in pit lane, and Tim O'Hanlon clocked me coming in. All right, Pete, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful to finally have you here. You've done well getting set up, Mike. We really appreciate you going through so much effort, and it's important to all of us that you've now with us, and we can enjoy your stories, and you can share your stories, more importantly, with the pictures that you've given us access to. So very much appreciated. So welcome.
Not a problem. yeah, I'm apologise again to everybody for last night, but that was lastminute.com.
Mike Kane, two-leg sidecar race, retired on the line in sidecar A, but hoping for a replica in sidecar B. So it's entirely up to yourself. But I felt sorry. I felt sorry for you last night, anyway.
Thank you very much, Barry.
You're very welcome.
And I've seen what Roy put up before, and I know how you get stressed out, Barry, with tech. And yeah, I don't do tech that much, but it's just nice to be here. Yes.
It would be a far cry, Mike, from when we were knocking around Spring Valley all those years ago, talking to other people through a television screen, because we didn't have a television probably in those days, and all the technical things that you can do now. It's well beyond me, and I've just been the fortunate one that when I press the right buttons, we've been able to make contact. But that's where it all started, wasn't it? We mentioned last night about your two brothers as well being in, and they made a contribution to the TT in many ways, haven't they?
Peter and Ian, well, Peter started racing before myself. Ian had a little dabble at Derby, but decided against it on Peter's RD 400, I think it was. And yeah, that's where it all seems to have kicked off from.
9 Spring Valley Road.
That's correct. But where were we before that, Roy?
Oh, I think you were in Groves Road.
Correct.
No? Yeah, Groves Road. And it always amazed at me is the way you kept all this machinery, because you could buy or rent a shed from the Corby for about $5 a week or something like that. But there was another chap not far away in Groves Road who started racing round about the same time as you, John O'Hare. Yeah, John.
Yeah.
It was well. Yeah.
My first race bike was from John O'Hare, but John had moved to Ramsey by then.
Yeah.
But I remember delivering milk up to Spring Valley Road and seeing your Peter's RD 400, and every weekend we went past, there was something else done though, either resets or clip-ons or drop bars or something like that, and then there was race number plates on it.
Yeah, depending what time. Yeah, depending what time of the year it was, because Peter was working for the steam packet back then, and he basically spent his winters out in Birkenhead with the steam packet. So on the run into the season at Derby, if he was working during the week in Birkenhead, can you get XYZ done? So I'd convert the road bike with the high bars, clip-ons, so 13. I'll convert the road bike back into the race bike for Peter to race. Yeah, on the pavement outside of Spring Valley.
I remember it so well.
Yeah.
But going back before that, obviously, to those watching who don't know, Spring Valley is only a stone's throw from the Quarter Bridge. So I assume your very youngest days were your formative years were spent watching the bikes at the Quarter Bridge.
Yeah, down the QB, and depending the easiest route was from the QB car park and along the tunnelway and up to the inside of the corner as the bikes come down into Quarter Bridge, which is a prohibited area now, plus there's a house there. Yeah, that was an easy way. The long way was to go to Port de Shee, was down the black pipe, and that was for a little short arse like myself, it was a long slide down, and then you go on the left hand side of the river and out to Port de Shee that way. So
Well,
yeah,
that meant something tonight. I didn't know about that.
That's
Recognised route for Spring Valley fellas.
yeah.
Williston fellas were scared to go down there in case he got bashed up, really. But
And then
There was a bit of a reputation.
yeah, and if it was dry enough, you could get through. When the hump was in the road from Craig-ny-Baa to Braddon Bridge, you've got the culvert underneath. And yeah, being a short ass back then and young and stupid, you could get through the culvert to get back onto the old Douglas to Peel line.
that's right.
It wasn't the access road then, though, was it? It was just Kirby Field, part of Kirby Estate, and they didn't take too kindly, really, to be fair on that one. I've done that route that you described many a time, and my favourite part was opposite the Nuke on the approach to Quarterbridge.
Yeah,
I was very nervous.
That was a cracking spot to be, because you could see them coming round Alexander Drive, and down just past. I can't remember. I'm no good at road names, and you could see the chatter, and even then, it was a brilliant spot. It's one of the best spots to watch a bike from. It's a shame in health and safety days. It's a shame that people can't see there anymore.
Can't see what was happening. It was Devonshire Road exit is the one that comes onto it.
That's it,
There was a cracking photograph on there, and I think it was used as the sign for the Crosby Hotel of Walter Handley. And when you're talking about going under that culvert in the centre between Quarterbridge and Braddon by the entrance to the rugby field there, that was quite a yump. It's taken out now, it's flat. But certainly in the early days, the bikes were airborne. And many photographs taken there with the thing up in the air going towards Braddon.
Yeah, you could scuttle through it quite. If it was dry, you could get through there no problem. If you'd had a wet TT or whatever, forget it, because it was just absolutely a right mess. My mum would have gone ape.
There you go. There's Hailey back with us again now, probably enjoying all the listening of the Isle of Man.
We've got some great comments here, boys. We've got a fantastic one here from John Koshersky saying, really neat to add Mike as a Facebook friend and reading about his race in either 89 or 90 on the S100. He replied to a post I made about it, and it's just neat to be able to read, watch or listen to a podcast or book and then be able to speak to them via chat. It's truly humbling to speak to all of these legendary riders. Must be the Manx, British or Irish magic. Thanks always. Fantastic. And we've also got a Facebook user here, no name attached to this one, sadly. Brilliant to listen and hear the voice of Roy and the story. So roll on TT 2022. Phil Nelms is saying, hi, myself and Lorraine are in Clapham, down south.
Down south.
Down south, yeah, exactly. We got a question here for you, Mike, from Bev Smith, because we've had Roy and Barry answer this one before. Where's your favourite place to watch the races?
Ooh.
Have a favourite spot?
I think on a good day, it kept a bit like Barry, Keppel Gate, somewhere like that. On a good day where you can park the car up and bring your buddies with you, your flask, and you're in your own. But on a wet day, you got to beware of the midges as well. You got to look at the weather, the midges. Glenn, I would have loved to have watched the old section, Quarry Bend section, when it was the old section. I would have loved to have stood there, but you would have been bitten to death. But that must have been absolutely brilliant in the old days, before it was altered.
You raced on that, Mike, didn't you?
Yeah.
You raced on the old bit.
Yeah, and we that'd be 87, I think.
It was around 85 time, I think.
Yeah,
It was 85 and 3 came down in practice at
Yeah.
the Manx Grand Prix at Quarry Bend.
Yeah, 85, I did it with John Bullivant. 86, and I jumped up with Helmet, and it was still the old course. Possibly 87, the trees had gone down. Because I remember how, when they realigned the course, Helmet didn't do any. Yeah, do you want to have a look at the course? I just met him off the boat, and yeah, do you want to have a look around the course? Things have changed. No, it'd be good. It'd be good. Be good. Be good. Sorry, a bit of Italian there, not German. But he come through Quarry, and he still changed gear down for the old Quarry. And it was, yeah, why didn't we do a recce lap beforehand? But he'd been there since, was it 66, 67, and he knew better. 67, yeah. And the next lap was, okay, I know the course. Yikes.
When you think about it, really, I mean, very much Snugborough was very right-left when it's going into Union Mills, and then you've had the Quarry Bends altered, you've had Windy Corner, Brandish. There's been quite a few changes over the last period of time, really, hasn't it? All based on for ease of local traffic. But I would imagine Quarry Bends would probably be the most significant change of the lot.
Dramatic change, that.
Yeah, Quarry, Snugborough was a big change as well. Because you think back to Snugborough, that was quite a sweeping corner, whereas now Snugborough is quite a flat out. And I think 85, they just started doing the work on Snugborough. Possibly, I can't remember. But the last time I was over, about 4 years ago, I did a lap around the course in the car. Hire car. Oops. And it's over the mountain where you can see through the corners. And of course, with seeing through the corners, you can, you know where you're going. And it's Alpine. They've put a little chamfered curb in on Alpine. Where I said, I had David in the car with me, and I went through Alpine. I went, I can run the chair wheel over this. And there's other places I can go, I could run the chair wheel over this. Mm-hmm. And you look at pictures, I think somebody posted pictures at Whitegates that they're using the pavement at Whitegates. The only place I fell off on the TT course. Yes, with Mr. Charlie Williams in front of me.
So from Spring Valley, when you went, we did discuss it, and I think there is a photo around about of early days down at Derby, which was the kind of training ground for every kind of local rider, wasn't it? And bear in mind, we had in Spring Valley, we had Paul Hunt as well. Yeah. And not far down the road, later to come emerge as somebody we've had on here, Tony Duncan. So we were surrounded by stars in Spring Valley.
Yeah. Well, we had Big H, myself, Peter, John O'Hare, Tony Duncan, Ogre Sale. Yeah, we had a bit of a banter about this, I think, last winter, between who's Williston up Spring Valley, who's got the most races in the area, and Laxey. I think Laxey came out on top.
There you go.
Yeah, Motley Crew. I think that's possibly 82. Two Manx Grand Prix winners and a runner-up.
Name them.
That's number 3 is Norman Ninjanine. And then you got number 11, Ralph Sutcliffe, and some Muppet on 21. Number 98, we've never been able to work out who 98 is.
Do you know which meeting it was, Mike? Was it like after a Mount Grand Prix or some 100?
It was the end of the season, because it was the meeting that Norman won the Centre Championship.
Right.
And unfortunately, he fell off. Ralph disappeared off into the distance after 3 or 4 laps. He had about 200-foot lead on me, and Norman fell off trying to keep up with me, which he won't. I still love to remind him about that.
Was that your own bike, Mike? Yeah, was that your own TZ?
Yeah, that's the TZE that was financed by. I bought from. It was sat in Don Paget's in Myrtle Street for a while, and it was sat there and sat there and sat there, and I thought, oh, let's go and try and do a deal with Don. Now, if you've worked with Don before, you know how hard it is to get a deal. And I managed to get a bit of a deal, and it was financed through Walton's Finance at the time, if you remember them.
Yes. My first race bike came from Walton Finance as well. Yeah.
Either them or the Crumbs for Trust.
I never used. That was the first time I think I got the finance on a bike. Although maybe the LC. Yeah, I got the LC, the 250 LC through Walton's Finance as well. You know the reg, Barry, don't you? Juliet 733.
733 man.
That's the one. Yeah. So they did a deal.
I remember buying that bike and riding it on the road, and several other people bought similar bikes and started racing. I bought the wrong bike, which couldn't be raced, and I lost 3 years paying it all off on finance before I could make a bit myself. It was a 400 Super Dream, but it wasn't really a race bike. But Kevin Aggle-Murphy did race one.
No comment, Barry. I've tried to find you a couple of Super Dreams on eBay for you to renovate, but you keep ignoring me.
I don't have the time or the passion to do that, really.
There's much chance of him renovating one of them as writing a book.
Bike. One day.
So, boys, we've just got a couple of questions, if I could add them in, if you don't mind. We've got Andy Karush. He threw this in last night, so I'm going to put this out there. It's unrelated to what we're talking about here, but very much related to our fellow Manxies. So has any of the lads seen the video of Molly's new KTM outfit being tested at the old Andrews Airfield? It's in the UK, on the UK Club Sports site.
Yes.
Great.
I saw footage from a feed somewhere. I don't know where the feed came from. And I thought, oh, Molly out on a KTM. And I recognised the background and the old Andrews Airfield. Where did I first jump on a sidecar? Back on the old Andrews Airfield. And it sounds sweet. It really does sound good. So good luck to the guy. Something different. Good luck to you, Molly.
It's absolutely something different, which Molly has that determination to do that. It'd be a lot of work, but it sounded amazing. I wish him all the very best. Here we go.
Yeah.
We were privileged to talk to Andy Farragher, his sponsor. Oh, look at that. That was terrific.
Wow.
Oh.
Great.
That's
yeah. The helmet Fath 4 cylinders.
Says it the URS, we reckon. Right.
it's in the modern age of the races we've got these days at the TT and that, it's different, and that's what people want. They just want something different, because production race is basically superbike, super sport. What are the difference? No, apart from a few grand. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And a different sound, a different noise. Sorry, I do get passionate with people are going the wrong way with the regs. Yeah, I think that.
Do you remember Neil Smith with an 851 Ducati outfit? Do you remember that?
Neil Smith, yeah.
Yeah. 851 Ducati. That was something completely different at the time, but too much else.
But it wasn't. He brought that out the year after, maybe 2 years after I sat in with him for the TT, when Dave Wood. I called it a day with Neil because he wouldn't change a certain handhold, and Dave Woods set in with him, and Dave ended up on the podium.
Yeah.
It put some maybes.
Well, Dave was my boss at that time.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best bosses I ever had, because I never saw him. Either he was on the broken arm, and by the time one of us would come back, the other one would go off. So I rarely see them, but because he was a racer, he understood that I might be off from time to time with injuries, so it worked very well.
Yeah. You can't beat bosses like that. It's like Paul Hipkin down.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul Hipkin down.
What would be the best sounding bike that you've ever been involved in, Mike?
The TZ 750, 700, the Helmet Road I had on full chat sounded gorgeous. A 4-cylinder 2-stroke engine at full chat, you can't beat it. It's perfect. I'm a 2-stroke man, and I always have been. Okay, it gets a bit twitchy when you get a rear wheel bearing going through Crosby flat out, and it goes from up the road when the bearing lets go, and you think, oh my God, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. But yeah, the sound of any 2-stroke on full chat, and those 750 yams, 700 yams, every day.
But as a passenger in a TZ 750 outfit, surely you would have had to have done a lot of training at that time for your arms and shoulders and things. I don't just mean in the roads, I mean hang on the roads. You're so professional.
I've always said when I had to train to do bike racing, it was time to give in. The jobs I've been in, Krellins, down at Finnick, humping loads of steel around and that, manual labour, you don't need to go to a gym because you build up the wrong muscles. You can only get the muscle strength in for passengering by actually doing it, if that makes sense.
Right. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it would have taken a lot more.
Well, you know yourself. Harry, you did 10 laps with me at Derby. Okay, I might have scared you a bit. But what muscles did you use just around 10 laps around Derby that you might not have used?
I didn't use many muscles that day because I decided after half a lap it wasn't really for me. And get the ride over with and get back again. I think that was mainly down to the fact that it was the old style Derby gravel, and there was lots of gravel crashing around underneath the outfit. And I thought, nah, you're all right. You did very well, but it wasn't for me. You know, and I think at the times like that, you have you find a new respect for sidecar passengers. You know, when you've tried something, it's not for you. You realise how good they are. It's a bit like when I took guitar lessons, which I could never manage. But every time I saw a gig after that, all rock guitarists were absolute demigods because I couldn't do it. See?
Sorry,
so following up on that, boys, sorry to interrupt. There's a great question here, which is a great addition to what you've just been talking about there. So Eric Kajus, hope I've pronounced that right, from Norway, said, hopefully we will be racing in 2022, but how do we make sure that we get started in a safe way? Because it'll be 3 years since everyone were racing their last. So to coming back to race fit, obviously they would have been able to get in an outfit or on a ride solo somewhere else, hopefully, but it's still race fit for that mountain course, isn't it? So Mike, if we come to you.
I feel sorry to a certain degree for the Manx Grand Prix guys and newcomers to the TT, because they haven't got the budget of the top teams to do BSB, ship into it, or ship into a meeting somewhere else and get some track time. It's the amateurs like me, Barry, 95% of the field. They're the ones that's going to struggle. And I don't know what Barry and Roy think on that, but that's my thought.
I think there's going to have to be more, as much practice as possible, you know, a bit more if possible, and hope for good weather. I think anybody who's done it before, I know what 3 years sounds a long time, but after a few laps, you will get back into it quite quickly. And I have known people who've missed several times with injuries, but you can come back and be on the rostrum again. You know, it's I'm sure it'll all be linked into Eric, but it's a daunting thought, obviously. But you've been there, you can do it, and you will be.
Yeah, it's going back to the last time I was on the island. As soon as I did that lap round the TT course, it was just like, putting a set of gloves back on. Hang on, oh, there's a new pothole there. There's a new bit of resurfacing there, and it just come back just like that.
It does. I missed 93, raced 94, missed 95 with injuries, come back 96. I was like a part-timer in them days. But
holiday racing.
It never much. I know this is 3 years, but everyone's in the same boat, and I think everything will be taken into account. Good to hear Eric on here. Eric Hughes, Norwegian Manx Grand Prix rider. Good to hear from him.
Great. Well, we've got more pictures then, boys. So we've got to share them. Some fantastic ones there. We do have more questions, but we'll come back to those questions. John, I see John Kachurski's got a great one there. We'll come back to it. But let's share some more of these great pictures. I want to hear the stories as well.
I'm not sure what year that is, but that's Harvey Gardens, Chief Scrutineer, ex-chairman of the Manx Grand Prix, with Bob Doughty in the chair. Then going into Castletown Corner.
Yeah,
I think I cracked a couple of Bob's ribs that day. Something came a bit loose.
Can you comment on the colour of the outfit, Mike?
Can I comment on it? Guess where the paint come from, and where was Harvey working at the time?
Yes, well, I was on the Harvey board at that time.
Highway board yellow.
Ford Cargo golden yellow.
That's it.
Harvey brought the fair again, and he said, just paint it, any colour will do. Bobby Crane, who was the Spirit at that time, says, well, I've only got yellow.
Yellow.
That was the same colour as the Harvey board lorries were painted. Ford Cargo golden yellow. True story.
Yeah, that's very true, Barry.
For those listening in, For those listening in foreign parts, yellow is yellow in Manx.
Don't know any other way.
Yeah.
It was cracking little bike, absolutely stunning to drive. It was just on rails. Little 250, not 350 two-stroke engine, and it was brilliant. It really was. But the 600 era was coming in, and it was so underpowered. At the TT, going into Ballacrane, you get banged by the 600s. And then through Ballacrane, up through Glen Helen, the 600s were getting you bleeding way, to be polite. And
Familiar.
Yeah.
it was just, oh, we're going to have to buy the Bullet. And it was getting expensive to run and maintain. And we bit the bullet, which is why we ended up basing the 600 outfit, the Honda engine one, basically around the Shelbourne chassis, because that Shelbourne chassis worked and it was handled like a dream. Celine loved the 350, great. The 600, the speed difference was a bit of a problem, but she got used to it.
This is getting away from your solo career, though, Mike, because you like Barry can list wins on the solo, and when you mentioned Bob Doughty there, I think you've got something in common between the pair of you, that you've both been ridden or been involved with machinery from Castle Hill.
Yes, Barry took over from me. Was it 1990, Barry? I think
90, yeah.
Yeah, 90. And I've ridden for Bob. I rode for Bob 87 on the T20, 88, 89, and won a couple of races on it. I don't know which races they were, but because I don't like to blow my own trumpet. He says, wearing the t-shirt.
Well, it was three classic TTs on the 3 pre-TT classics on the trot, I think. If I may interject.
It was. I don't like to blow my own trumpet, mister.
Well, I'll do it for you.
The ride on Terry Teese's Mackie came about pure by chance. Pure by chance. We were coming back home from a holiday in the UK at Hailey, waiting for the boat to sail, and I could see this guy who I didn't really know that much, apart from he had a nice Charlie Williams replica down at Mill Mount, and he's got Mackie doing the deal on the quayside. Mackie, okay, didn't think anything of it, and as you do when you've got 4-hour crossing, you go to the bar. And I bumped into Terry. Yeah, he knew me. I roughly knew him. And can you give us a hand getting the Mackie off the boat? Oh, yeah, no problem. So Celine took the car off the boat. I give Terry a hand pushing the bloody low tide as normal, pushing the bike, the Mackie up the ramp. Yeah, that's it. End of story. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I stopped into Wilo's, as you do, to get the bacon balms for work on whatever day of the week it was. And this Volvo, beep, 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 beep. And window comes down. Give me a call. Come, yeah. Or come round to the garage. Well, it was Terry. And okay, this is interesting. What the hell does I didn't really know him from Adam. Never bought a car off him. So I'll go around, and basically, bottom line is, it was, I want you to ride the Air Mackie for me. Oh, right. Yeah, but I'll have to discuss it with Bob first, out of courtesy, because I've ridden the T20, and Bob was absolutely the same as pound as Bob is. So I had a word with Bob. He said, "Oh, if you got a better deal, go for it. He's got more bloody money than me." And that's how it kicked off. Terry decided he wanted to get the bike, the Air Mackie, running at Mallory Park of all places. I did 11, 12 laps of Mallory Park and went, I don't like this place. When you've got the likes of guys on 1,000 bikes going around Gerrard's leaning on you, and I'm trying to learn how to ride a 4-stroke classic bike for the first time. And he was, no, park it up. No. We did three laps in practice on the Saturday night on the Air Mackie, and then it ate a piston ring on the liner, and luckily, with a bit of persuasion for myself, managed to get a new liner off Sid Lawton and took it down to our old mate down in Foxdale, Martin. Martin, surname
Martin Lockwood.
That's the guy. And Terry was, I don't trust this guy. Terry, just if you want to get the bike out. Let him do the work. And yeah, I think Martin charged us about 20 quid putting a new liner in. Just push the old liner out, bang the new one in, and reprofile it. And Terry went, so it's going to cost me? I've spent X loads. And of course, we're not having enough laps in the Saturday practice session. It was, George, can I have permission to start, please? Yeah, of course you can. Oh, can I? Okay. And luckily, the weather played into my hands because it was oiking it down, and
that was a dreadful day. That
it was cracking. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Well, I wouldn't have minded it, but
I love racing in the wet. Call me daft, but yeah, I'm daft. But I love racing in the wet because if you're on an underpowered bike.
Well, I agree with that. Yes, yeah.
That works both ways, and it was brilliant fun.
Boys, we've had some great comments to contribute to that. We've had Andy Carew saying there's nowhere else you could hear these stories but on this stream. It's like a TT Max Grand Prix talk through of everything and anything. Bloody brilliant. Phil Looney says, talking about going back to the Alaman TT, I dislike the practice being called qualifying from the first session, which puts extra pressure on the rider. Remember being told to do the laps and learn.
Yeah, correct. I fully agree with that. It's practice, not qualifying.
It's very much mindset driven, that, isn't it? So we got a great question here for you, Mike, as well, from John Kashirsky. So he's asking, do you have a favorite section of the course to ride solo and to ride in the sidecar outfit? Is it different?
Oh, that's a hell. Love the mountain on both 2-3 wheels. Sidecar, as every sidecar passenger or driver will tell you, from Ginger Hole to Ramsey is murder. Even now, I thought we'd imagine, because you got the tree roots still going underneath the roads, and it's as bumpy as hell, and it's hot. You get to Ramsey, get to Parliament Square, and you go, come out of Parliament Square, up round Mayhill, into Whitegate, round past Roy, go Sentiment, and you get on the mountain mile, and you go, how many more times have I got to do that section again? That section, yeah, there's not a lot they can do with it because of the trees that are on the so close to the road, but it is bumpy, but over the top. And even being as daft as I am, when the early morning practices were on, to sit on the side of an outfit, do this, look over Ramsey Bay, and watch the sun coming up. Go up a mile. Brilliant.
Fantastic.
There was one particular occasion when we were on duty at the bungalow. We did a few years there where we spotted you, but you were walking.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes.
Des Evans was accompanying you, I think, around. You were in good company because he'd done it to Joey as well when he ran out of fuel on a 250. But I think you might have been leading, or you were well up, and we were on duty, obviously looking down the road for you to sweep round the veranda. And then the next thing we saw you walking with the travelling marshal.
Yeah.
To get the tram down into Laxey.
Yeah, that was 80. It might have been 89, possibly.
Yeah, I'll go with that, yeah.
Leading by a country mile. Dave Smith, to this day, he said, "You owe me one, or I owe you one," because I handed him the win. Coming out of the three corners veranda, it just went, and it sucked something in. It nipped up. So come round the, come on, Barry, round the where the marshal. That's where the
Memorial. Bungalow Bridge.
Bungalow Bridge. That's the one. I'm no good at names these days, and I popped it up. I popped the bike up on the outside of the track to the right as you come out of the corner, far enough away. Then I was told that it wasn't in a safe position, the bike. Why? It's down a gully. The said marshal then wanted me to move the bike across the track and lie it down on its side, looking down towards Laxey, if that makes sense. Right, okay. Fuel tank's going to leak. Engine's still warm. And he basically got told to, which is why I had the strop on that day, Roy, and I wasn't in the mood for a conversation with you at the bungalow because I just.
That would be. I think we realised that pretty quickly.
Was this the helmet swinging day, Mike? Yes. The day when Roy said I saw you, but you were swinging your helmet, so I didn't get involved.
Could very well be because the helmet might have gotten into this said marshal's face. Not a happy day, but normally I'm pretty chilled out. But when common sense like that doesn't prevail, it was, whoa, hang on. You want me to lie a bike that side of the road, on its side, engine's hot, the fuel could leak out, but it's safe up against the bank of Snaefell. Don't go any over.
The Mackie, Terry's Mackie, what happened to that bike? Did Joey ride that bike or was it a similar bike?
That's there's that many incarnations of that bike. Barry, Glenn English rode it, Joey rode it, and then it's been sold on to somebody in Ireland. Joey rode it the year or two after me, I think, but only lapped about, in 250 form, I think, he only lapped about half a second quicker than me a lap. Oh dear, that's not bad going.
Did Joey ride a 350 version as well, though?
I think he rode the 350 version.
He was second, I think, on the 350.
Yeah, that was the following year. I'm trying to be diplomatic, but the money that went into that Air Mackie, say no more.
The Bladen brothers had a lot to do with it, didn't he? He virtually handed it over to them, and they took it apart and I think converted it from 250 to 350.
Yeah,
and that's when Joey put it on the podium.
Yeah,
yeah.
It started out with the airline pilot, whose son raced.
Coach.
Dick Linton.
Dick Linton, maybe.
Dick Linton did the work on it originally. And then it went to the Bladens, but in between, Nigel Smith had something to do with it as well. It was just turning over and over and over, but it was a good experience in a way. It got my foot in the door to run the Craig as well. Why?
Well, that was my next question. Actually, you have another string to your bow as well as the former landlord of the famous Craig-ny-Baa Hotel, which lots of people might not know about that. How many years were you running that for?
Not very long. We took it over in July and we left end of January, I think it was. It wasn't working. I'm trying to be diplomatic again.
You had a couple of TT quiz nights up there, though, which I was at.
Yeah. I penned the questions myself, and I think we got Roger Etchell.
Roger
Etchell, yeah.
From Honda to do the spiel and do the questions and that. Do the Roy Moore bit. And they went well, but it didn't work out. Conflicts of interests, didn't work out. But hey ho, did it, tried it. And if you want a pub with an 8-pint pull from the cellar to the bar and the wastage involved, that's the one to get. And the water, and I think I've said this before Hailey, to the boys. There's no mains water to the Craig. There's 4, 5, 200-gallon storage tanks above the stables. Now, when we were there for the Manx Grand Prix, whatever year it was, we ran out of water. We had to get the fire bobbies out to fill up the water tanks. And it was quite amusing. Yeah, it cost us 200 quid to get the tanks filled up because we just ran out of water. We couldn't flush the loos, we couldn't do anything. And there was a picture come up on Manx Nostalgia yesterday, Hope Street Chippy. And the two people that used to run it were Keith and Daphne. Now, when the fire bobby, they drank in the Craig religiously. And if you knew Daphne, Tio Pepe. Our best seller was Tio Pepe. We did 6 bottles a week, one person. We got the fire bobbies in to fill these up. And of course, they set the fire sensors off in the ceilings. Poor Daphne was going epileptic because the fire sensors were going beep, beep, beep. Keith, will you please take me home? Will you? It was quite funny at the time, but She might have had a heart attack, but hey.
So, Mike, we've got one more pictures that we want to share, and it's very poignant with what you were talking about before, and everybody can feel it, I think, when you see the picture. It's the emotions of finishing a race, and this picture that you've shared with us now. Can you tell us what year it was as well? Look.
That's 98. 98 TT. Whew. And
still emotional, Mike.
Yeah, it does. Well, if you think back to the 98 TT, that was the year we did the Channel 4 program, and the weather was absolutely diabolical. How many times did this sidecar race get cancelled, and we ended up with only one race? You can just see the left of Celine's leathers in the background. That's Yvonne, my now partner, in the middle. But it was just so, I don't know how, yeah, for Banks break or whatever, because it had been such a hard week because of the weather, trying to get qualified, and I think we got a radiator hole by somebody, a certain Dutch guy, and we had to get permission to start from the back, and we're having a good old dice on the roads with Wendy Davis, and we got black flagged at Sulby. What the hell? And the floor pan had come loose. I can't remember who the TM, might have been Dick Cassidy, the TM there. He says, just rip it off and throw it over the edge. That's what we did. And you'll get the time back. So, yeah, did that, bang. We were going great guns. I think we ended up 47th or something like that. But we should have been higher up because we lost so much time with that black flag. And after the stress and aggravation that we'd had during the week with the weather, and you've got a TV crew following you around like you don't know bloody what. You get this big, oh, hang on, I'll use it. Just bear with me, I'll use a prop. I'll use a prop. We thought we'd escaped them down at the presentation. And then all of a sudden, they did bloody, oh God, they're here again. Yeah, we couldn't get away from them. But we got a few quid out of them, but not a lot. But it was hard work trying to concentrate on the racing with having a TV crew around, and then the weather was just poo. Cheers, Andy.
Well, Mike, listen, thank you for sharing your stories and your photos. I know there's one or two other things you want to share before we do finish the show.
Yeah.
So I want to hand it over to you.
Right. As Barry and possibly Roy are aware, I'm coming over for 3 or 4 days in July. What I'm trying to sort out at the moment is a bit of a get-together for the page, Ryan Barry's page at the Manor on Saturday night, the 10th of July. That's work in progress. Gromit hasn't come back to me yet, but there again, I haven't been in touch with him. But so if we make it a bit of a fundraiser, right? Get your big board out and get some money coming in for charity. And it basically a meet and greet. Fingers crossed that Mr. Howard lets us all back in. I've took the plunge. I've booked the tickets. I've booked the hotel down at the Edelweiss. And what I want to do, since every charity the last 12 months has struggled, I want to raise some money for the TT Riders Association and the Southern Under Club. So if we can work out how to auction these off before, and I'll hand them over personally on the 10th of July.
Got the makings of a good night by the sound of it, you sir?
Yeah, you've got well, the 1988 Sidecar Race A, 12th place, 97.73 mile an hour. 88 Sidecar Race B, 13th place, 97.7 mile an hour. You can't get much better consistency than that. They
probably would be a first light down again. First reaction would be, dear me, we're not having a very good run here, are we? But I think we'll be all right. We'll be left in the dark. I think you would be better off, personally, Mike, not auctioning them on the night, because it would only be to a limited audience. I would suggest if you offered them on a kind of an open auction bids, it would be a better bet to put them to a wider audience. And we know for a fact that people do look for TT replicas on the site, and they're very hard to come by because it's such a personal sacrifice for what you've gone through to be offering somebody the opportunity to get one of those. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised what would come out of it. We're only too happy to get involved with anything that you suggest, and the venue is ideal for us. Barry doesn't know where it is, so he'll have to be explained where the manor is. We'll have to call for him at the house and guide him down.
I'll have a look on Google if I knew how to do that.
We'll support where we can as well, Mike, definitely. If we can do a live stream of an auction, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's work in progress on those two, but I just there's so many charities that have lost so much income in the last 12 months because they're not doing the fundraising. Like the Southern Under Club, the Butty Vans, etc., etc. TTRA, they do so much behind the scenes quietly, but they rely on their dinners and their auctions there. So I just want to put something back, and for all the fun I've had.
Great. Well, we've got Roger Barnes saying here that Sunderland are doing a fundraiser in July as well. So there's a potential there. We could link that up. Ian Morris is saying, wow, it's great. Ian Perry saying, nice one, Mike. Lots of support here. Andy Karush is saying, I'll give you 250 quid for one and you can have it back and then it's yours forever. That's a nice offer. Great. Mike, wonderful. Well, we look forward to supporting you. I'm sure the boys do on that as much as we can. We look forward to the social as well in July. Hello.
Well, somebody mentioned that Southern Club have got the fundraiser on the 10th of July. That's the same day that I'm trying to sort out the do at the manor. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Great. Fantastic.
So down the Southern in the afternoon and up the manor on the Saturday night.
Sounds like a plan. Wonderful. Roy's having technical issues now tonight. It's just with his light. So, Mike, listen, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I'm just going to have one quick question for you before we close off that we had here. From who was it from? It was, when was your most hairiest moment? What was your most hairiest moment? I'm trying to find who it was from. From Bev Smith. Thank you, Bev.
Unknowingly, I would say Derby Road on the sidecar. When, luckily for us, we got a bad start off the grid because somebody else in front of us stalled it and come down the Ballavaran Straight to the left up towards the coast road. And when you know something's not quite right, when your arms are getting longer and longer and longer, and of course you hit the brakes. Unfortunately, on a sidecar, your brakes are linked to the front wheel through the foot pedal, and that's then apparently sent us into the big spin, swirly, Chris' stepson at the time, he ended up in the hedge. I bailed off the outfit when I seen a concrete post. It was, oh dear, concrete post, eek, yikes. And it was, right, where the hell's Chris? He's upside down in the hedge. Oof. I went to take his helmet off, and it was just a case of because he caught himself on the barbed wire around just underneath his helmet. And luckily Des Evans came along and went, go away. That was a scary one. But we got the bike rebuilt. This was on the Saturday before practice for the TT. Practice started on the Monday. We got the bike finally rebuilt by Thursday, but by which time adrenaline had taken over, and the cracked ribs that I managed to get past Doc Stevens on the Saturday and get the green pass from Doc was starting to ache a bit, to say the least. But yeah, it's just in that unknown when the only way I can describe it, hang on, my arm's getting longer. What's going on? So you hit the brake with your foot, as you do on a sidecar. And then it just went bump, bump. And apparently we did a couple of 360s. I don't remember. I was out of it. Bit of concussion until I seen the gate post on the left coming towards me, and that was when I bailed out and smacked my ribs in. But we all got out of it okay. Poor Chris, he was due to do his exams at the high school. Right-handed, he's battered and bruised. The TM, Barry, the high school teacher, TM.
Jim Hunter.
Jim Hunter.
He was one of the teachers at the high school, and he's trying to get dispensation for Chris to take his exams a bit later on, because Chris wasn't left-handed. He didn't do too well in his exams. Of them to me. Sorry, Chris. Hope you're enjoying your job in the police force.
Well, Mike, thank you for so many stories and for sharing some of your pictures. Sadly, we didn't get through them all, but we definitely shared some great ones, and it's been fantastic to listen to you. And thank you for accepting our invitation.
Now we got it set up. If the boys want to come and have 2 more fats, I'm always here.
Fantastic. Mike, thank you. Really appreciate it. Boys, it's been an honor, hasn't it?
Certainly has, Mike, and thanks so much for for getting involved and with the stress of yesterday and then entertaining us so well today. It's certainly been a delight to kind of recall all the times that, well, we've known one another, but we never, well, we hardly met really, did we? I knew where you were and you knew where I was. And it was a typical situation.
Right, you did the double glazing. You priced up the windows for double glazing at Nice Spring Valley Road when Harry put the extension bit on the front of it.
Aye. Did we get the job?
He got the job.
Oh, that's all right then. That's good. we didn't work on commission, so we're all right.
Well, to be honest with you, Mike, we've hardly even scratched the surface there. We got a few yarns, but there's an awful lot more. If we had the time, we could talk about. But
we could talk all night.
After the best last night, it worked out all right. So.
Oh my goodness!
One last little thing for you, Barry.
Is that the famous brew? Is it?
Let's see if I can get it right.
Benji's bitter.
That's the one.
Oh.
Whoops. It's very lively.
Looking a bit cloudy, is it? No,
it's a very dark bitter, and it can be very lively. Oh.
You see, Mike, as a sidecar man, you've got the drink on the screen. You know, it's what you do.
Yeah.
Nectar.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Do you mind yourself?
Delicious. Thank you, Mike. Take care. We look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care. Another great show, boys. Another great guest. And like you say, Barry, we are just scraping the surface with so many of the guests that you've invited on. We really are. We need them all back again, don't we, to continue the conversation? It's incredible.
You know, like we say, where you're in the situation, so if you're asked a question on screen, you're trying to entertain people who are listening to this. So then Roy might say something you don't want to butt in, and arrow goes by very quickly. And I know there's lots of things that I could have asked, but haven't had a chance this time. But compared to this time last night, he did quite well, I thought.
He did great.
Yeah.
Royster, another great show. Hey, absolutely brilliant chats.
Yeah, it's amazing how your memory works, isn't it? You know, I mean, it's what you've got, and then to recall all those things from all those years ago, and obviously the emotion came out there with that. And for those who haven't done it, I'm privileged to be involved with people who have, and certainly they've certainly entertained us with stories from the Tales from the Unexpected. I think would be a true television title, wouldn't it? And just a delight to be involved in it, whatever way. Whether it's the way forward, future, garlic bread, I'm not sure, but certainly of the ones we've done, there hasn't been a bad one, I don't think.
Been great. Thank you, boys. It's been fantastic to see you once again, and I will see you back on here in 2 weeks' time. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we just have to go and put that date on the calendar now.
Yes.
10th of July, is it?
10th of June. No.
No,
10th of July for the social. Yeah, of course. Definitely.
Typical 100 date, isn't it? That's what you always think around about then.
Yeah, that's what you'll be doing on the Thursday afternoon, going down there and then possibly going back to the presentation. But it's got potential, and certainly we'd be delighted to get involved in it. Well, we can't do anything else now. He's asked me, can we?
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Right, boys, have a great evening. Thank you so much. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Right, good night. Thanks.
Back to the grandstand.
See ya.
Thanks to every single one of you that have joined us this evening, shared your comments and your questions. It's been brilliant. Sorry we couldn't get all of them in this evening. We've had Miles call it saying the hour has gone by too quickly. I agree, Miles. Pat Slynn has joined us. Lovely to see you on here, Pat. Thank you. I really enjoyed that. David Clack saying another amazing evening. Brilliant. Lovely to see some of the regulars and the names popping up here. We absolutely love it. Brian Spooner, an hour and 20 minutes. Yes. John Kashirski loved it. Hope to get on someday with Barry and Roy. I bet it would be like sitting in a pub. Yes, I agree. Right. Thank you, every single one of you. We will be back with the boys in 2 weeks' time and another special guest or two. Who knows? We look forward to you joining us once again. Keep an eye out for the releases and the announcements on our TT, our non-TT coverage, our alternative TT coverage for 2021. So keep your eyes peeled and on the notifications will be popping up. So make sure you set them up. You subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and you can stay up to date with everything that's getting posted. Thank you, everyone. It's been great to see you all on here this evening. This is Mountain Memories, episode 3. I'm Hailey Coxon on the Spirit of Motorsport TV.